currently writing for The Athletic. Last time I talked to him, he was living in Vallejo. I'm not sure whether he still is. Let's find out. Jason Jones with us. How are you, Jason?
I'm good, and yes, I'm still in Vallejo. Have not left.
That's awesome. I'm from Vallejo, as you know. By the way, before we get into the Kings, I couldn't be more sincere here when I say I really appreciate the piece on Black Aces that you're writing for The Athletic, Black History Month. It's tremendous about the African-American pitchers, Americans and Canadians who've won 20 games. It's a great series. And I'm wondering, Jason, could I real quickly tell you a Bob Gibson story? Would that be okay?
Oh, please. I've heard so many. I mean, the more the better.
Okay, and this is Mark Ibanez told me this, and Orlando Cepeda told him. This is a quick story, and we'll get back to the Kings. Bob Gibson, real tough guy that I know you wrote about. Bob Gibson and Orlando Cepeda were teammates on the Cardinals in 67-68. Cepeda gets traded the next year to the Braves. So the first time the Braves come into St. Louis in 69, Gibson's like, come to my house for lunch. They were teammates. They'd been to the World Series 2 years in a row. Cepeda's like, great. So the game starts, and Cepeda comes up in the first inning, and first pitch, Gibson nearly kills him. It's right at his head, buzzes the tower. Cepeda goes down in a heap and gets up, says, hey, I was just at your house for lunch. Bob Gibson says, well, we're not at lunch now, are we, mother bleeper? So that's that was the kind of competitor Bob Gibson was. But, Jason, how about these Kings? How competitive can they be the rest of the way when they're having so many problems guarding people?
That's what it is for me. How much are you going to commit to defense? I mean, there's a reason why teams like Detroit can come in and beat you when Charlotte can beat you at home. It's because you give teams too many good looks. You let teams get comfortable. And, even on a bad NBA team, they've got guys who can score. I mean, that's the way the league is now. Everyone has guys who can score. And you let someone walk in your building and get comfortable, you can't rely. I think last year was kind of lightning in a bottle. They had so many games where in the fourth quarter, they turn it on and they'd go on these runs and they'd beat teams late, but you can't live like that. And I mean, sometimes, the basketball gods will even things out. And I think a lot of times we've seen cases this year where, like a Detroit game, where the basketball gods don't let you get back in the game and you lose to a team that has 6-7 wins at home. So for me with the Kings, it all comes down to the commitment at that end. You're not going to be able to go out and make a trade. Obviously now the deadline's passed. You're not bringing in some great defensive players, off the street at this point. It's all on those guys in the locker room to commit to that end of the floor.
Jason Jones of The Athletic joining us. Jason, it's your boy Drapes. Hey, man, when you look at this season for the Kings, the numbers are similar, record-wise, everything, but obviously the feeling is different. What would your message be to Kings fans about the growth of this team? It seems like we want it microwaved and we want to be a contender right now, whereas Monty McNair, Wes Wilcox, they seem to be taking the patient, long-term approach. What do you think about that?
I think you can't – every season is its own story. I think last season you can't hold on to last season and say, well, last season we were the third seed. This is not last season anymore. And each season has its own individual story. And you go 16 years not making the playoffs, you weren't going to go from that to the NBA Finals more than likely in a year or two. And last year, the Kings were a great story. I mean, the way they kind of caught people by surprise in some cases, but you know what? They had 82 plus games of film on you now. Teams are ready for you. So that's part of the team's learning curve as well. What do you do now that no one's looking at you as the same old Kings or, oh, that's a cute little story over there? You're getting team's best shot now. So that takes another level of intensity, preparation. And like I said, in defense, you got to be ready for that, because what you don't want to be is that team where teams say, you know what, they're a good team, but they're going to let us stay in the game because, you know what, hey, they're not going to try to stop us. So they've got to take that next step collectively to say, we're going to commit to stopping people, not just in the fourth quarter, not for a spot here and there, but over a 48-minute game. Can you string together stops consistently? But if I'm a Kings fan, you can't hold on to what last season was. Last season was last season. You had a lot of other teams that had a lot of injuries. A lot of things broke well for the Kings. That's not the case this year. So you're going to have to go out there and, create another story this season.
Jason, as you said, the Kings caught a lot of teams by surprise last year. How likely is it do you think that maybe for the Kings front office, maybe they were caught by surprise this year by how much better so many other teams in the West have gotten?
I think if that was the case, that's shame on them because
Mhm.
you couldn't go into a season expecting Paul, Jordan, and Kawhi Leonard to miss a ton of games. You couldn't go into a season expecting, I don't, Denver to have, and you can't rely on that. I think what you didn't bank on was Minnesota and Oklahoma City taking that
Right.
jump. That's the one that catches, I think, everyone off guard. And I don't think
Mhm.
anyone saw that coming, but even still, it happened. I mean, last season, people looked at the Kings like they looked at OKC, like, oh, where they come from?
Yeah.
But even last year, Minnesota had a ton of talent. So I don't think you go into this year thinking Minnesota was going to be a bad team. I didn't have them being top 2, but you thought they'd be, had a chance to be a top 8 team. So I just think, when you look at all those factors, I don't think I guess it would be malpractice if the front office went in thinking, oh, we got this, because you didn't go in the offseason and do anything to where you could say, we added this and this piece to where we're so much better than we were a year ago. It's pretty much the same team from a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can't. It would have been. I haven't talked to Monty in a while, but I know Monty's a very practical guy. He thinks big picture, and so I think that you probably figures. You know what? Our improvement comes internally. It comes from Keegan getting better. It comes from De'Aaron and Sabonis being another full season together. That's where you looked for your improvement. I think. I don't think. But yeah, if they went in thinking that we were number 3 last year, we'll just go to number 2. That'd have been crazy.
Jason Jones of The Athletic joining us, talking everything Sacramento Kings. Were you shocked, Jason, that our boys didn't make the All-Star game? No De'Aaron Fox, and most surprising to me, no Domantas Sabonis.
I thought De'Aaron was going to make it. I
Mm.
thought Sabonis would have problems because I figured AD would get in, and I figured more than likely they would vote in one of Minnesota's bigs. So I knew Sabonis, it might get dicey. I thought Devin Booker had missed so much time that was going to be De'Aaron's spot. That was kind of my thinking going in. To get neither one of them was shocked. I was surprised by that. I thought they'd get at least one, but the way that game looked on Sunday, I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think there's any shame you weren't a part of that.
Yeah.
I think the real shame is that the way the CBA is set up, that could affect De'Aaron's money.
Yeah.
To me, that's the crime of it. That his contract should not be based on essentially an opinion poll, which is what a lot of times getting an all-star nod or all NBA spot. It's an opinion poll. It's like the NBA, all NBA. It's the writers and media members saying, I think this guy is better than these other 5 or 6 guys. And I don't think that's crazy that someone's vote could cost De'Aaron Fox, $70 million?
It's nonsense. Jason, a moment ago, you mentioned Keegan. What have you made of Keegan's progress this year? The ups and downs, the improvement defensively. He's had some big offensive games. What do you have made of that whole saga this year?
I mean, second-year guy. He made strides. That do I see a superstar yet? No, but it's second year. And that's the reason why around the trade deadline, my thought was, if you can get a star, and if you got to part with Keegan for a star, you do it the same way they did with Tyrese. The way you did with Tyrese. If you can get a star, I didn't think Siakam was a star like that. But I think if you got 2 all-stars already, you got a chance to get a bona fide third guy and put a star with a De'Aaron in his prime and Sabonis in his prime. You got to at least look at it. I don't think you make anybody untouchable, but like I said, Keegan's young, and I think he'll continue to get better. He'll continue to develop, and but you got 2 more years before you got to worry about extending him.
Yep.
So I think unless you got blown away, you just continue to take that development and see where you go. And I think for defensively, it'll probably come to the offseason. Can you find a couple of more of those rangy 3-and-D guys to go with them? Because I see too many games when the Kings struggle where it's the bonus, 25, 18, and then the 2 forward spots is kind of where were you guys at tonight? 6 points here, 8 points there. So you're going to need to probably Keegan to be more consistent offensively. I mean, if he was getting, say, 20 a night, if you just rely on that, that changes everything. I mean, I think you look at a team like a Denver, I think Keegan can be like a Michael Porter Jr., if not better. I think he can be more durable. I think he can be more consistent with his shot. So you get Keegan, playing at a very high level. To me, that changes the game for Sacramento, especially with the defensive end. If you got a guy that height, that size, who can defend multiple spots on the wing, now you're helping Sabonis out, because if you can keep guys from getting to the paint, he's not picking up cheap fouls because guys are getting in the paint.
Right.
And a lot of times I think, a lot of times the bigs will get labeled as foul prone, and it's not really their fault. It's, you keep letting guys drive at your center. He's going to get 2 or 3 just because he's standing there. So I think if you continue to shore up things around, I think Keegan will be a big part of that. De'Aaron obviously will be a big part of that. And, in getting another, 2 guard who can be a lockdown defender for stretches, I think that also helps change the dynamic of what you get with the Kings.
Jason, you mentioned the All-Star game, All-Star Weekend. We all grew up watching All-Star games. We got our favorites. We remember how competitive it used to be. How do we fix it? Who's responsible for the travesty that we're seeing during All-Star Weekend?
The players. They're the only ones who can fix it. They're the only one. I think someone's got to get mad during an All-Star game. Someone's got to say, you're not just going to get a layup. You're going to at least have to, I'm going to challenge you. They're the only ones who can fix this. I mean, and when I was reading what Edwards was saying, basically it's a break. We don't come out here to be competitive. It's like, it's almost like peer pressure. Like now when the new guys get in, they don't want to be that guy who looks crazy who's actually trying. So
right.
It's going to take, it's going to take someone who wants to stir it up and say, you know what? This isn't cool. I want to go out there and compete. I want to send a message going into the last 30 games of the season that, hey, I got this guy on the other side. Maybe if you're in the West and you're saying, I want to get to the finals, there's Jason Tatum. I'm giving it to Jason Tatum today. I'm going to let him know we're, All-Star game or not, it's not going to be an easy road when you see me. You got to get guys with that mentality. And I mean, after about 2 minutes of watching that thing on Sunday, I said, I'm glad I got this Black Aces stuff to work on, because I can't watch this. I mean, at least give me some fake hustle.
Yeah.
They didn't even bother to fake the hustle, because even in years past, you got the, hey, we're going to start trying the last half of the third and the fourth quarter.
Don't even get that.
Yeah, we didn't even get that. We got Karl Anthony Towns trying to get 50, but it didn't even matter. I mean, if you're going to get some kids and show them about the NBA, just don't show them that All-Star game.
Don't
show them Sabrina and Steph and say this is how you shoot, but don't show them the All-Star game.
Jason Jones from The Athletic. If you get a chance, if you haven't already, catch his series on the Black Aces in The Athletic. Thank you very much, Jason. Great to catch up with you. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
No problem. Thanks.
All right,
I got my A's hat on today for Stu.
Yeah. I see. Dave Stewart.
Y'all didn't even give no love to the A's hat, fellas.
Oh, my bad, Jay. My bad.
Shots out.
Smoke just celebrated a birthday too, right?
I'm not sure about that, but yeah, he was fun to talk to. I guess I'm having a ball with this story. The guys I've been talking to, like I spent an hour with Dusty Baker talking. So I mean, this has been a joy.
That's the best.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate it, Jason.
Catch you next time.
Yeah,
all right, bro.
Look forward to it when we come back. Kings bold predictions for the second half. Drive Guys, Sactown Sports.